Hey, what's happening, everybody? You're now tuning into the Producer's Corner with Spud Too Tight, and I have another hot show for you today. On the show with me, I have a returning guest who came back to chop it up with me with his newest CD release titled Urban Jazz, My Story. He has worked with some of the biggest names in the business, from Justin Timberlake to Jeff Lorber, Kirk Whalum, Phil Perry, Karen Briggs, and the list just goes on and on. Please welcome back bass player, composer, Mr. Anthony Crawford. How's it going, Anthony?
How's it going, Spud?
Pretty good, man.
Great,
How's it going?
Great to be here.
Man, thanks for coming back, man, and chopping it up with me as a returning guest with your newest CD, man. I'm a big fan of your work, Anthony, man, so it's a true honor, bro.
It's a true honor for me to be here, Spud. True honor, man. Thank you for having me back for the second time.
That's right. Yeah. You know, Anthony, I had a chance to listen to some of the tracks that you sent me. Only You, bass guitar, jazz and versus hip hop. How would you rate these tracks versus some of the other track releases from your prior CD, man?
Well, on this record, the new record, I had to feature some of my friends that I've been working with for a while, like Only You, Frank McComb, a great piano player, vocalist that I've been working with for a couple of years now. And I've always wanted to work with him on one of my projects. So Only You was one of those songs that his voice, to me, just fit perfectly. He had the right tone, the right range, and I just wanted to just work with him and get him on that song. And that song was actually written, Only You was written back in like 95, 96, man. And I just recorded it like now. And, you know, like I said, Only You is one of those songs, man. It's a ballad, very touching. Anybody can listen to it and appreciate it. And that's what I wanted to capture with Only You. Jazz versus hip hop is pretty much kind of what my album is about, man. It's a mixture of jazz, hip hop, R&B, soul. So if you listen to that track, I have a lot of clips where people are just kind of giving their thoughts on what they think jazz and hip hop is. And I wanted to incorporate that in my music and play, you know, kind of jazzy on top of hip hop kind of music, and just have, you know, different people talking about what they think jazz and hip hop is, you know. And
yeah, man. You know, it's cool though. I mean, because being a fan of both genres, man, jazz and hip hop. I'm a keyboardist myself, man, and you know, you can't help but to be fans of both sides of the music. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So merging these two worlds together as a musician and a fan, I think a lot of guys our age, man, can relate to a little bit more. You know what I mean? And you know, not classify jazz as an old style of music. You know what I mean? When we bring the elements of hip hop, because that's you and I. We grew up on that. You know what I mean? So bringing that to the world of jazz, man, that's just a killer combination, and it brings new fans to the music, and just to get their listening ears tuned into a different frequency. You know?
Yeah. That's what I wanted to capture with this project, man. You know, get different aspects from people from different musical backgrounds and bring them together and just appreciate music, you know. That's what I wanted to capture.
Now, who are some of the featured artists that you had on this one besides Frank McComb, man? Who are some of the other musicians and singers on this, man?
Oh man, I featured I featured one of my favorite drummers of all time, Dave Weckl. He was nice enough to be a part of this project with me, man. And I mean, I'm featuring Dave, Eric Darius, another great saxophone player. You know, of course, Frank McComb.
Yeah. And
I featured some friends that are up and coming and that are very, very talented. Robert Norman, up and coming vocalist. Keelan Ellis. Keelan was signed with Puff Daddy writing team, and they wrote hits for Danity Kane and a lot of artists that came out of the bad boy genre. Yeah. And he's branching off into the artistry world now, and he helped me out with bass guitar. That's him singing on it.
Wow.
And I've been knowing Keelan for a while. Valencia Robinson, another talented vocalist from Memphis, Tennessee. Very talented. She is featured on my song called Baby. She's singing on that song, and a lot of people are liking this song.
Right.
I'm featuring a few people. Russell Soroto from the Stanley Clarke Band.
Wow.
Yeah. He's a piano player, great composer, great producer.
Yeah.
So I was very fortunate and blessed to have a lot of people to help me out on this project, man. And just to see the same vision, and they put in their 2 cents some put in a whole dollar and made this project what it is, you know.
That's
and
right.
that's to me that's what's different from my last project, you know. This project is more features and more, you know, vocals and music, you know.
You know, when you're listening to the album and some of the musicians that you mentioned earlier that collaborated with you on this project, man, was there a certain sound that you were going for this album that attracted you to these guys to collaborate with you on this album?
Well, the thing about the whole urban jazz thing, as you know, I mixed the two together. You know, the hip hop, the rap, the soul, into the jazz. But what I wanted from the features, I wanted them to bring their taste and their flavor to the bigger picture. And to me, I think that's what kind of made this project a step above my last one. Because my first project, it was just me. But this project, it was me plus, you know, Eric Darius, Frank McCall, you know, Keelan Ellis. And they brought a whole lot more to the vision. And that's what I wanted to capture. I wanted to capture the urban jazz along with the taste and the feeling that the other special guests can bring with this project.
Wow.
So that was the sound I was going for.
Yeah. Well, you definitely nailed right on the head, man. I mean, it's just really put together well, Anthony. You know what I mean? And again, it has a very young sound, but very mature sound too, where the older guys can appreciate it, man. Seriously, I mean, it really makes a difference, man, when you're really trying to capture that audience. You know what I mean? And yeah, man, it's a really killer combination that you got. You know, and listening to the CD, man, and I got to talk about some of your bass chops and your solos that you've been putting on there, man. A lot of virtuosity going on there, bro. You know, when I think about a lot of the solos that you do, Anthony, I think really now you really came into your own, develop your own signature sound, where a lot of the fans that really follow you know the Anthony Crawford sound, man. I mean, give me some of these elements and some of these techniques that you use, man, to really stand out this way. I mean, what's putting together the signature sound that we're hearing on these tracks?
Man, it's still coming together. I'm still trying to find that sound, man. When I was young, I listened to a lot of musicians, a lot of bass players. And the thing that I noticed about a lot of those bass players that I listened to was that they all had their own sound. You know, Stanley, Marcus, Vic, Jocko. You know, you can turn your head, and if Jocko is playing, you just know it's him.
That's right.
You know, and I always wanted to have my own sound, and I'm still on that path to finding my own sound. But what I've noticed is when I solo and I write music, I try to think more like vocalist, and I try to think more arrangement. Like when I solo, instead of me just, you know, playing just whatever, I try to think, okay, how would a vocalist approach this? Mm-hmm. And what I do is I apply my techniques, you know, my tapping, whatever I do, and try to paint a picture around if I was like a vocalist. And I try to incorporate those elements of, you know, tapping, slap, thump, fingering, you know, scales, whatever, into a vocal arrangement. And that's how I approach my solos. You know, they don't always come out the way I hear it in my head. but like I said, I'm still trying to find that niche and find that sound. So I guess I'm on the right track, man, because I'm starting to see a pattern. I'm starting to hear my own sound, and a lot of people that I don't know are starting to like recognize my sound. So that let me know that I am on the right track. You know.
Yes, indeed, man. I mean, a lot of the heavy hitters that you mentioned, man, the pioneers, Stanley Clarke, Larry Graham, even Victor Wooten, man. I mean,
everybody knows Victor.
Right. You know, he's young, man, but he's so developed. You know what I mean? He's really one of the Yodas out there, man, as far as the bass playing goes. And you know, Wayman Tinsdale. You know, I chopped it up earlier when we talked about Wayman, man, and really bring that melodic flavor and to his style of bass playing, man. Really took it to another level, especially in the contemporary smooth jazz market. So, yeah, man, he really opened up the doors for a lot of guys like you, man. So, yeah,
I appreciate all those guys, man. I mean, it's kind of unfortunate that Wayman is not with us, man. I just did a tribute thing to him like a few weeks ago. I did a tribute thing with him. Well, not with him, but to him. And it's unfortunate that he's not with us, man, but he opened up the door for a lot of things that I'm doing, just from his compositions, how he played, his presentation, all that stuff, you know.
Yeah, definitely. Now, you know, we also talked about, man, how you really took it up a notch on this project, Anthony. And I really want to talk about the quality of your recording, man. I mean, it was really mixed and engineered well. and I can't help but to notice the detail and clarity of your bass. The signal chain's a little different on this CD, man, than the last CD.
One word, man. YouTube. This is why I say that. This is why I say this. I have looked up so much recording tips, recording techniques, all this stuff. I looked up a lot of stuff on YouTube, and I still do. And the reason why is because I have in my mind how, you know, I want to record, but it's always good for me as an engineer to see how other people do things. You know, it's a lot of different recording techniques. And when I began to realize it, I mean, I got like an Avalon 737. Nice. I got like better converters and all this stuff because I wanted this album to be bigger. You know, I wanted this album to be a step above my last record. You know, I constantly wanted to grow with this record.
Yeah.
And me investing into, you know, better gear than my first record, me recording in bigger studios, because majority of my last record was recorded at home, but this record was recorded like at home, including big studios and stuff like that. So as far as like recording, you know, like I said, Avalon, better converters, you know, with my outboard gear, you know, recording in Pro Tools HD, all that stuff. So, you know, like I said, I had to take it up, man. I had to step it up a notch and bring people something better than the last one.
It makes a difference, though, man. I tell a lot of guys, and even with keyboardists, you know, depending on the rig that you currently have, man, how we hear sound sonically can make or break a song to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I have my signal coming in and I feel that real analog bottom end on my keys or the guitars that I'm playing, man, it really changes the feel of how the song can go because I really get into it more because I'm able to hear the fidelity better. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So everyone out there, man, you gotta have a good signal chain no matter what instrument that you're channeling in. You know what I mean? And like you said, doing that research on YouTube and talking to other veterans out there, man, who's really got a nice creamy sound, you know, definitely pick up those traits, man. So yeah, that Avalon 737 is a beast of a preamp, man. So
yeah. And I just got it just to try it out, and I loved it, man. It was better than what I was using at first, so I'm like, well, I'm gonna keep this. You know. Yeah. You know, it's a journey. You know, you're constantly learning new things, man. And, you know, so that's, you know, it's a journey for me as far as like recording. You know?
Definitely. You know what's cool nowadays, man, because all the DAWs, man, we're really getting cross-platform and compatible with some of these DAWs, man. So we're able to move our sessions back and forth to different studios, man. I mean, how has this helped you complete this album? I mean, are you strictly doing everything at the house, or are you taking it to analog setups or DAW setups? I mean,
both. I say like it's a 50-50. You know, when I would do my bass solos, 80% of it is done at home because sometimes when I'm in studios, you know, like bigger studios, I can deliver what I hear, but at home I can really just sit down and just like, okay, this is how I want it, and I can really, you know, I'm not paying for the hour, you know, I'm on my time.
Yeah.
And I like to record my solos at home. And, you know, I do other stuff, you know, I record solos in big studios too, but I can really fine tune and get into what I wanted to deliver when I'm like at home, because I might have like a great idea at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And luckily my computer's like right here in my room, so I just get up and I just lay it down before I forget it, you know. And that's how I do it. You know, when I solo, I try to make statements. I try to build something. You know, I try to, you know, create a house, you know, foundation, you know, windows, decorations, all that stuff, you know. That's what I try to capture.
All day long, man, telling that story, you know what I mean? You become a vocalist almost on your instrument, you know what I mean? Start having to sing and really carrying it from beginning to the middle to the end. So, no, man, you definitely complement the tracks well with the vocalist, you know.
Thank you. And that was the goal. And that's actually a challenge for me being a bass player, because as a bass player, sometimes, you know, I want to think as a bass player, and sometimes I can get kind of like out of control with music, especially soloing. Yeah. But soloing as a bass player with vocals, to me, that's been a challenge. But that's what I'm constantly growing on, you know.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know, we're moving from the evolution of recording, Anthony, to branding yourself, man. The evolution of branding yourself these days as a musician has changed, man, with technology and social media. What are some of the campaign marketing strategies that you've implemented and kept in your strategies, man, to keep you positioned and be the calling card as a musician these days, man?
Man, Facebook, man. I'm serious, man. Yeah. Like, Facebook, one thing about people that follow my music and follow my career, they like to be updated on whatever I'm doing, you know. And whatever I'm doing, I like to update people. Like if I'm recording, hey, I'm in the studio. You know, if I'm practicing, sometimes I just take a picture of my bass, just my neck, and say, hey, you know, I'm practicing. You know,
right.
just something that, you know, to keep people kind of connected. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Of whatever I'm doing. So as far as like marketing myself, I just continue to try to put out great music, and I try to always cultivate whatever's in my heart, because that's why people are listening to, you know, my music, because they're interested in what I have to say on the bass. So I'm true to myself, and therefore I'm true to my audience, and I just always try to just keep everybody up to date with what I'm doing. You know, I put up free videos on YouTube. I teach bass lessons on YouTube for free, and you know, I might have like some type of show, and I like put up videos of my show, and you know, just whatever. You know, I always try to stay, you know, online doing something.
Yeah.
You know, so that's how I've been kind of marketing myself. You know, and I've always got the urban jazz name behind me. So usually when people think of Anthony Crawford, there's always like urban jazz behind it. So
sure.
I do that on purpose, because that's my vision. You know.
That's right. You know,
Yeah.
when I talk about a little bit about your online bass lessons, Anthony, I mean, you've been at it for a while, man. I mean, even I kind of saw what you were doing. Obviously, you can teach beginner, mid, and even some of the advanced guys out there, man. They can definitely pick up some things from you by working with you. What are some of the things that you start out with in teaching? I know it really depends on the student, but what are some of the core things that you really focus on teaching other guys?
Well, it depends on what they want to learn. You know, a lot of people, you know, they want to learn different things, but the main thing that I try to focus on is letting the student find their own self. You know, because I don't like getting caught up and telling them, okay, what you should do and this, that, and the other. A lot of musicians sometimes get restricted because other people tell them how they should play, what they should do, what they should sound like.
Yeah.
You know, what I do is I show people stuff. Like if I do something like some type of tapping or some type of lick or something, I show them whatever. But I always tell them, you know, find out what works best for you. You know, I can show you this, but you know, don't get caught up into doing it exactly the way I do it. You know, find out what you can do, what you can bring different to this, because you know, you want to find yourself. You know, you want to be your own individual. Mm-hmm. You know, so yeah. That's what I try to help people to see. You know, you are your own individual. You have a lot to offer. So get in tune with what you have to offer as a musician and deliver it to the world. You know, that's how you find your own sound and your own voice.
Definitely. You know, I'm a big fan of playing covers, Anthony. And, you know, I get a lot of questions about ear maturity, man, how to really develop that ear to really play back what you hear right away. I mean, what's some of the ear exercises that you kind of teach your students and kind of re-exercise your own techniques, man? Stay fresh, man.
A lot of times singing what you play helps. You know, if you're playing a bass line, if you just sing it, whatever you're playing, that helps your ear. You know, if you're soloing, if you sing your solo, you know, that helps your ear. And I'm still practicing on it now, you know. So, you know, the more I do stuff like that, the better my ear gets. But it's like a lot of training that I need to be, you know, doing my ear, because sometimes I think I'm pitch deaf, because sometimes I can hear a note and I cannot find it.
Yeah.
Usually, like if I'm learning a song, it'll be like a note, and I'm like, man, what is this note?
Those ghost
and
notes.
People tease me. My friends call me pitch deaf. They're like, man, you so deaf. But you know. But I'm still practicing on it, that ear training and singing your notes, singing what you're playing, because that helps. You know, singing scales when you play it, and it helps you think musically. It helps you think as a vocalist. Yeah. And it just helps your overall, you know, character in your music. You know. It does. And then you're playing.
You know, it's like the harmonics and chords and notes become a part of you after a while. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it's one thing you definitely, after a while, if you don't have a strong ear, you'll definitely do by memory, you know, just by the scales where it's going to go. I mean, you'll get away with it, but it works, you know what I mean? But over time, I think your ear's just going to kind of just take you there anyway. So, you know, it is a growth and age thing to me, you know, so totally.
Yeah.
So what's on the musical agenda for 2013, Anthony?
2013. Well, I am working on a lot of projects. I'm working with a few pop artists, doing their records. I'm working with Scott Henderson. I'm doing Scott Henderson's new record, and he's supposed to be putting a band together. So if that goes well, I'm going to be in his band.
Nice.
Alan Holdsworth finishing up in this album. Virgil Donati finishing up his album. And also I'm doing another solo project, a Christmas album. So I am in the studio now recording a Christmas project as well, and hopefully that will be out November 2013.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
that should be nice.
Well, there's a lot of stuff on the music agenda for 2013, and I just gotta make sure I actually do it and get it done.
That right?
Yeah.
Music keeps you busy, man. It was like you're just coming out with your new CD and you're already in the works starting another one. So yeah,
you gotta keep moving, man. You gotta keep it. It's helping me out as a musician, as a person, as a business person, to just keep moving. Don't stay put. Stay in motion. And that's helping me out because I do that to myself on purpose, just so I can stay in motion, so I can stay growing, and so I can stay putting out new music.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, Anthony, it's been a true pleasure having you back on the show, man. I would love to have you back with your new Christmas CD that you're coming out, man. We definitely got to chop it up with that, man. You got a spot here at the Producers Corner all times, man.
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming, man.
Definitely. Well, you have a safe 2013, and we'll keep in touch, Anthony.
Thank you, man. Stay blessed.
Talk soon.
All right.
Peace.